I think that Mikel Arteta reinvented Jorginho's position and role in this team a little bit. Now, I said at the start of the watch along, honestly, 15 seconds in, I said, I don't know if this is just something they're doing in the meantime, like a little tactical just for kickoff, or actually it's how we're going to play the whole game. But Jorginho picked up a different role that you could see from kickoff in this game. Now, what I want to show you here is Jorginho's average positions in the big games he has played, and we've got them here via SofaScore. Against Man City, the thing I notice here, Declan Rice a little bit deeper than Jorginho, but Jorginho on the right of Declan Rice. You'd expect Jorginho a little bit deeper there, but interesting. Chelsea away, Rice, and again, a little bit deeper, but Jorginho once again on the right of Declan Rice, Rice playing on the left of the three midfielders. Away at Sevilla, again, Declan Rice this one higher up than Jorginho on the left of the player who's sitting as the 6, number 20, that is Jorginho there. Against Newcastle, once again, Jorginho on the right of Declan Rice, who's on the left. It might seem a minor detail, but against Liverpool, what we saw was Jorginho, as you see from this average positions here, actually on the left of Declan Rice. When we're building these 11s, you know, we're not just sort of making it up and going, oh, we'll chuck Jorginho there, chuck Rice there, because I expected this.
Yeah.
And I expected this so that we would get this. But we didn't. We actually got more of this. Jorginho in that, I want to say left 8, but it's slightly not the right way to put it because Ødegaard was really more of a 10 and it was sort of a 2 and a 2. But Jorginho was definitely the player with the more license to get forward and play. And I thought what was interesting about it is it might seem like a risky thing to do because what you've got down that channel is actually Gabriel having to do a lot of work, because if Zinchenko does invert, you've got Jorginho, you don't have the legs on that side that maybe you have in Rice and Ben White as well. But what it did allow us to do was actually be quite flexible in the way we built up on that side. And that's why I found the reinvention of Jorginho's role quite interesting. Now, we've talked about essentially the first bit, which is Zinchenko picking up this pocket here. And we didn't see too much of it, but we saw a little bit of it. But the other thing we saw is because of those two in build-up sitting, we saw Zinchenko being able to hug the touchline. And you see that in the goal that we're going to break down here. In fact, I was going to do it a little bit later, but let's do it now because it makes sense. Arsenal's goal. So, Arsenal, this is the shape as we mention it. And then we give them the ball to there. Okay, so when this ball goes into Jorginho, you can see that he's building with Rice. Rice is this slightly deeper one, and there's Jorginho. He receives the ball, gives it on to Havertz, gives it on to Gabriel, but as this is all happening, Zinchenko's held his width, got the ball, and at this point, it kind of all opens up. Because as we've played through and Zinchenko's held the width, Ødegaard's come inside, Havertz has made a run, and as you rightly mentioned, we were talking about it before, it's Van Dijk who's drawn into Ødegaard because we've played through them. Because Jorginho, there's no obvious 8 there because Havertz has adopted that sort of position, but he's run off to make a run in beyond. Van Dijk doesn't know what to do, he comes close to Ødegaard, Havertz is through on goal, should score, but there's Saka to put it in the back of the net. But it gave us a lot of tactical flexibility in my opinion, having Jorginho, that small tweak, just saying you're going to play as the left of the two and Rice is going to play as the right of the two, that small tweak I think allowed us a little bit more different venture down that left hand side in this game.
You are right, I think Jorginho on that left hand side, again, it's an aggressive move from Arteta, isn't it? And have him further up the pitch. And Arteta went for that game yesterday. We were. If we'd lost yesterday, we would have been 5 points behind them. So we had to win. Yeah. You know, and I think sorry for the Sky narrative yesterday because they'd all set up for the Arsenal loss, but they didn't give Arteta the credit he deserved for his boldness in that game for actually attacking Liverpool and taking the game to Liverpool. And that was an example of it. A beautifully crafted team goal. And all right, we got a bit of luck with the finish falling to Saka, but I think it was worth it. It was a really decent piece of play, and I thought Martin Ødegaard. I know he's not part of what we're going to talk about today, but I thought he had an absolutely excellent game yesterday and was influential when we attacked.
Totally agree. He was outstanding. Now, I think some people might look at that and go, what? So that couldn't have been done with just Jorginho and Rice swapped. But I think it's more than that. It's about off the ball as well. Being able to allow Jorginho to press and go forward and use his defensive instincts. Yes, he doesn't have the mobility of other players, but you wouldn't have thought it yesterday, the way he got around the pitch. His intelligence knowing when to press, when not, and then allowing Rice to be that sweeper again and stay and cover up in those areas when needed to. The balance just felt better. It actually felt like, yeah, you do have a dynamic 6 there, and you've got two real ball players in Jorginho and Odegaard. Cool, Odegaard was closer to Havertz, I acknowledge that, and Jorginho was closer to Rice. But there were times where they were able to look like a midfield three, so that Rice at times, again, let's get this back up. There were times where if the centre-back split and the full-back split, Rice was able to get the ball there. Jorginho was able to hold that area. And we did build in a 4-3-3. Again, it was really flexible and we didn't have to sacrifice losing Declan Rice's brilliant defensive instincts. But because they played close enough together, as Zinchenko was getting forward a little bit, you still got Jorginho's ability in build-up. So you just had a real range of kind of approaches for Arsenal by making that small tweak. And I don't know if we would have had quite the same fluidity going out the back and the same rhythm if we'd swapped it the other way. I'll be honest, it's not what I was looking for. I was looking for Jorginho there and Rice to be the energy box to box. But it worked either way, and it meant that if they did play through us, well, you had a big wall of Declan Rice, Gabriel and Saliba to get through as well. So I thought the balance was really good.
Just one thing I just want to add before we move on to the next piece. I thought Jorginho was praised by Declan Rice yesterday, and rightly so. Calm, composed. He makes players, I think, look better around him, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can play him also. And I think the question for you before you move on, he's gone, he loves a 4-3-3, and I know it's a fluid shape that Arteta employs, but do you think now, particularly with the big games coming up, even the Champions League restarting, that this with Partey, we know he's going to not be fit for the rest of the season, we know he's out of the I just can't see him playing again for us. That's my view on it. Yeah. But do you think with Jorginho now in this position, next to Declan Rice, is that the way to go? So moving more from the 4-3-3 more to a double pivot 2 to give us that control that Arteta wants?
Yeah, probably because
you're a massive fan of Jorginho, aren't you?
Yeah. He's really impressed me in the year we've had him. I think he's been brilliant. And
apart from the one mistake against Tottenham, I can't think he's been faultless, has he?
I totally agree. And I think to myself, the beauty of this, as we were just sort of trying to illustrate, is that you can still play the way we've been playing. You can still have a Zinchenko or Jorginho getting forward, or if they're not doing it, you can have Rice do it because he's the more natural of all of them, getting forward as a box-to-box. So you can in-game make tweaks, and that's why I think this probably is the way forward.
The only thing that he lacks is pace, and Chelsea fans will tell you, they've watched him enough to say that he gets bypassed too often, he lacks pace. But I think the way Arsenal's shape is, the way we play, I think we do things in a way that doesn't expose him so much, in my opinion, with Rice next to him. Yeah. And I think, he was doing great things in that game yesterday, not only in the way he was he was breaking up play and making passes, keeping us moving forward. The pressing showed that he's got the energy still to press high, which Arteta wanted. So I think, with Partey, we all wanted a Partey, Odegaard, Rice midfield. We've now got a Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard midfield. It's probably, he's not a massive long ball progressor in the Partey mould. But he's certainly got qualities I think we can use. Yeah,
and some of his passing range was superb. You'd think that we're done praising Jorginho, but we're not quite yet. Let me just show you this from canonstats.com as well. I really like this. It shows you his defensive actions that, again, show you how much of it was done in that left 8 position, getting forward as well. So that's what I'm saying about the reinvention of his position. He wasn't just alongside Rice, both sort of doing the same job as one another. There were intricacies about Jorginho's role that was different to Rice that allowed us to still build with that base of these three that has worked so well, all season. Jorginho was able to slot in and carry things on. His numbers were 45 accurate passes, 24 final third passes, 70 touches and 4 interceptions. He had the most for all those numbers. He was second for duels, one with 7, and he was second for progressive passes as well. Which I forgot to put the number there, but take my word for it. And then I like this as well. Mikel Arteta was speaking about Jorginho. This is a question by James Benge after the game, asking him, how valuable is he to you on and off the pitch? To which Arteta said, unbelievable. I always said he's an example, a role model. He's been in a lot of pain because he's had an issue he's been carrying for months. He didn't want to stop. He's been playing with that. He's been training. Always the first one in and the last one out. For all the kids of the club, if you want to look at somebody, just look at him. He's won everything, but if you ask him or to play for 1 minute like last week, he's happy to go there. Ask him to play 90 minutes at that rhythm and he's able to do that. I'm really lucky to have players like this. Really great words from Mikel Arteta on Jorginho. I think as a fan base, we're all starting to really appreciate him a lot more. And with a year of seeing him play for the Arsenal, I think we're understanding why Mikel Arteta brought him in. But with this amazing performance, several very good performances as well. Quotes like that, just play him more, Mikel. and just play him more because I think he deserves it. And good on Jorginho.
And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.